So Ackie monitors are actually becoming more popular in the reptile hobby, which is awesome. But at the same time, you don't want to underestimate Ackie monitors. These guys are a lot different than your typical small lizard. So in today's video, I'm going to go over a few topics that make these guys stand out and make them unique compared to other small lizards that you'll find in the pet trade. I want you guys to keep in mind is how extremely active Ackies are, as Thunder is demonstrating right now. As you can see throughout his enclosure, that's the reason why I have perches and different things like that. Although this is not the size enclosure I actually want for Thunder, and I want to get him a much larger one, if you look all around the enclosure, you'll see areas where he's digging and just running around looking for stuff, rooting around, looking for food. And the thing is about these guys, hey buddy, and the thing is about these guys is that they are full of energy. From the moment this guy wakes up in the morning, I hear him bask for maybe about 10-15 minutes, just warm up his body when the lights come on. And then right after that, I can just hear him scratching and running, searching for food, just being a very intelligent, inquisitive animal, just exploring his enclosure. And that's what really sets these guys apart from other reptiles. Yeah, I know they're small and their size definitely fools you in the beginning, where you think, okay, well, this guy's maybe about as long as a bearded dragon and about half the girth, so this seems like another small lizard that you can just stick in a tank, right? That is completely wrong, guys. These guys are so active, they make up for that small size, and that's the reason why you have to provide these guys so much space. I can't wait till I get a larger enclosure for my Ackie Monitor, just so that way he'll have plenty of room to run around. So that way I'll be able to give him more enrichment and he can have more room to just be the animal that he wants to be. Remember guys, this is basically a Komodo dragon in a small package. They're very intelligent and they like to do a lot of exploring. Now another subject is food. Now guys, don't let that small pudgy-tailed idea fool you that this is an animal that you can feed maybe just once or twice a week and get away with just ignoring the animal for the rest of the week. These guys eat quite a lot of food for this small size. Now that doesn't mean that this animal needs to necessarily eat every day once it is a grown adult. Now, baby Ackies can eat every day to about 5-6 days a week, and adult Ackie monitors will eat about 3 times a week. They'll obviously eat more than what a baby will eat in one sitting. Now the thing is with these guys, they do have a high metabolism because of this very hot basking spot that they have. Mine averages are around 145 degrees, sometimes getting as hot as the 160s, and on cold days getting as low as 130, 135. So just keep in mind guys, this animal is going to be constantly looking for food, and it's just not one of those creatures, come here boy, and it's just not one of those creatures where you can just give it one large meal a week and then think this animal's going to be content. Every morning, even after this guy's had a big meal, he's out here searching for food. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you need to overfeed them or feed them every day and make your Ackie Monitor all thick and pudgy and, oh, it looks so cute, but it's actually not in great health. It doesn't mean you need to make your Ackie Monitor overweight. You just need to make sure that if you look by the hips and everything, the animal's still nice and trim and has more of that athletic build. One more, you ready? As you can see, whoa. Easy, buddy, easy. Whoa. As you can see, this guy does not play when it comes to food. And like I said, guys, as he's getting bigger and stronger, he hasn't gotten me yet, but I am using tongs a lot more when it comes to the feeding. So, yeah, guys, just keep in mind, these guys love food, and you need to be very careful with these guys. Now, For some of my other reptiles, like my leopard geckos and my blue-tongued skink, those lizards, I can put their food in a bowl. Of course, with the leopard geckos, I could do superworms and mealworms in a bowl, and they can be just fine that way. And of course, with the blue-tongued skink, almost everything he eats is in a bowl unless it's a live insect. And the thing is, those guys can chase around their prey as well, but at the same time, these guys need their prey to be relatively close to them in order for them to see it and catch it. My blue-tongued skink is kind of awkward when it comes to catching bugs and isn't really a crazy hunter. And of course, leopard geckos kind of have bad aim, and they're not necessarily going to catch an insect from across the enclosure, especially if their enclosure is quite large and has plenty of distance between them and the insect. Now, Ackie Monitors, on the other hand, they see prey and they go wild. This guy will literally spy an insect from the other end of his enclosure and go crazy chomping it down. Now, some other reptiles that tend to be your more popular reptiles in the industry, such as bearded dragons, will also have a really strong feeding response. But with Ackies, they're just so much faster and more agile. Bearded dragons definitely got some get up and go in them too, especially when it comes to food. That's like one of the main times that you'll actually see these guys be very quick and agile and active. But with Ackie Monitors, the thing is, these guys are always moving around quickly and they're always being inquisitive, and they're very active in nature in general, where bearded dragons, when given the proper amount of space, can be quite active, but they're still not going to be like an Ackie Monitor. An Ackie Monitor, I can describe these guys' activity more as a bearded dragon on steroids. These guys go nuts for food. Roach didn't move yet. Let me see if I can get the roach to move. Want this roach? Want it? I'm actually kind of glad he's not going too nuts right now, because I don't want him to get my finger for the roach. Go get it. Yeah, so these guys go absolutely crazy for their food. Even for Thunder, today's kind of like a slow day for him. He's not going as crazy as he usually does. There we go. Now he's being more active. Come on, bud. Come up here and get it. There we go. Yeah, see that? That's the thing. A lot of lizards just won't go through that length in order to get their food. Now, granted, even though Ackie Monitors are not technically an arboreal species, these guys will do quite a bit of climbing. And some lizards just don't really climb to get their prey. Leopard geckos aren't really very good climbers, definitely not as good as a Ackie Monitor. Now, a blue-tongued skink, you can pretty much forget about it, because those guys basically can't climb at all. If you do want them to have a higher level in order to climb into in its enclosure, you pretty much have to build these guys a ramp, and it can't be that steep, just because of those big sausage bodies those guys have. But for an Ackie Monitor, it's not a problem at all. These guys can climb small perches and pieces of wood that you guys, and branches and things like that you may add to the animal's enclosure. Give them a little bit extra exercise. You want this last one, bud? Come here. Go get it. Yeah, newbies don't get very far. That's the funny thing. I notice the more active the prey, the more crazy this guy goes. Oh, man. Jeez. Whoa, buddy. Another thing that makes Ackie Monitors different is basically the bonding or the taming process that you would do in order to get your Ackie Monitor accustomed to your presence and just getting used to you overall, and building a relationship where you can actually handle this animal. Most other lizards, all you really have to do is just do the maintenance inside the enclosure, leave the animal alone for a little while, and then you can start slowly picking the animal up. And when the animal freaks out, you kind of just let it get used to being picked up. And it may freak out a little bit at first, but after like a week or two, it calms down. It's not the same with an Ackie Monitor. Ackie Monitors are very intelligent. And the thing is, moments of fear or moments of distress for this animal will remember. So if you think picking this animal up over and over again is just going to get it used to being picked up, what that's actually going to do is create a negative reinforcement where this animal is going to see you as a predator, and it's going to have memories of you basically trying to grab this animal by force and holding it against its will. What you actually want to do with these guys is, of course, start that basic process of just cleaning the enclosure, letting the animals see you, but you would spend a lot, and I mean a lot of time in front of the enclosure. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, on the days where I'm not filming Thunder, first thing I do when I get home is literally just come here and just sit in front of the enclosure. Sometimes I don't even open the door, I don't even bother him, I just let him see me for at least an hour or two on a daily basis. That's why I put the enclosure in my bedroom, because I want him to see me a lot, and I want him to get used to my presence a lot, where I am a normal part of his daily routine. And what you actually want your Ackie Monitor to do is approach you. They're very inquisitive. As they get older, they're going to become more bold. So you don't necessarily just worry about this animal just hiding from you all the time, because it wants to check you out. Once it's established the enclosure as its territory, it feels that this is its territory and it is in command of what goes on here. And the thing is, once you enter this animal's territory, you want to basically show yourself off as, hey, I'm just a normal part of your day. I'm a normal part of your process. And that's what's going to start the bonding process. Now, granted, you see the way I'm holding Thunder right now, guys? I'm not restricting him at all. I'm not squeezing him. I'm not holding him against his will. I'm literally just putting my hand underneath his belly for him to sit here. Now, the thing is, the moment that he wants to crawl off, he can, and I'm not going to stop him, even if I want to keep holding him. Why? Because I want everything to be on his terms. So right now, I'm just going to put him down, let him do his thing, give him a little pet. I'm just going to slide my hand away. And once I give him his space again, he should go right back to tongue flicking and just doing his thing. But he's not going to sprint off. He's not going to get too bothered by my presence. The reason being is because he's used to me now. I've had him over a year and a half. I spent a lot of time in front of the enclosure. So whenever I move over for a little pet or a little scoop under the belly, he's like, okay, I'm used to this. What's going on now? Right, but the thing is, he's not really that confident yet outside of the enclosure. And I think these... You right, buddy? And I think the loud cars and stuff outside must be a reason why he's not too confident, because that would be pretty scary if I was a small lizard. But at the same time, he's not too afraid of me. As you can see, he kind of just crawled off a little bit. Still petting him. He's not really running away from me super hard or trying to hide or anything like that, but he's doing pretty good. It's actually just being a little sluggish because he has a nice fat belly from all those roaches he just ate. So now I'm actually going to leave this guy alone for a little while and let him do his thing, let him bask, and let him digest. If you guys look around Thunder's enclosure, I have a lot of very big, robust decor in here, like large pieces of wood, and the only plants I have in here right now at the moment are fake. That pothos is back there somewhere. He broke it for like the 5th time. And what I have are things that he can't break easily. And the thing is about Ackie Monitors is, even though they're not a super strong, large-bodied lizard, they're very active. Where even though plants can be trampled by other reptiles, let's say like a bearded dragon. A bearded dragon may cover the ground of the same side of the enclosure maybe once or twice during the day. The thing about an Ackie Monitor is, Ackie Monitors are going to run around a lot more than a bearded dragon. So an Ackie Monitor may run over that plant about 10, 20 times in a day versus a bearded dragon only doing it once or twice. And that's the thing, guys. So when it comes to these guys and plants, that's why I don't really have a whole bunch of plants in Thunder's enclosure yet, like I've just added to my leopard gecko's enclosure. So for now, I'm actually just looking around for some sturdier plants that I might be able to add to his enclosure. I'm actually thinking about adding some aloes to his enclosure. Something that's, thicker, sturdier, hopefully something that can withstand the wrath of Thunder as he does his thing. And here you have it, folks. So I was just messing around and then he crawls up in my hand again. Now see how I just let him kind of just lay in my hand? So this guy can leave my hand whenever he wants. I'm not gonna bother him. And I'm actually just kind of stuck here right now because I don't want to disturb him or do anything that startles this guy. But that's the thing, everything's completely by his will. I'm not restraining him, I'm not holding him, I'm not harming him, I'm not doing anything scary. I'm just letting Thunder basically be Thunder and just lay in my hand and just do his thing. Now eventually he'll move on from this spot and he'll go and be his typical little Ackie self and do some exploring of his enclosure. But for now, I'm stuck here, but this is how it goes with Ackie Monitor handling. He's not like my leopard geckos where I can basically just pick them up almost whenever I want, or my blue tongue skink where I can pretty much just lift him up and as soon as he feels stable in my lap, he'll kind of just sit there and be a potato. These guys are definitely an animal that want things their way, and in order to keep an Ackie Monitor and have a good relationship with your Ackie, you basically have to submit to that. So instead of him being my pet, I'm his pet. So I'm all right with that though, because as long as we have a good relationship, that's good enough for me. And now that he's crawled off my hand, he's basically giving me his tail to kiss. So this door is going to be open for quite a while unless this guy moves off. So like I said, everything's on his terms. So basically I'm just going to let Thunder do his thing and crawl back into the enclosure when he wants, and then we'll get back to the video topic. The last reason why Ackie Monitors are not your typical small lizard pretty much sums up what I was saying in my Ackie Monitor enclosure tour. All the items that you see right here are not your typical pet store items. This enclosure had to be bought from someone who actually builds enclosures. The bulbs basically are something that you'll find in a home improvement store. The substrate itself is play sand and organic topsoil. The only things I can say here that actually came from a pet store, or you can find a pet store, are basically the smaller pieces of wood, the little fake plant I had back there, and the fake rock ledges. So what I'm basically saying, guys, is whenever you're getting an Ackie Monitor, you have to keep in mind these guys are not going to thrive off of the items that you're going to find in the pet store. Sure, you might add one or two things to make the enclosure look nice, or just to add some decor. Even the food, if you're looking for, just crickets, mealworms, superworms, if you're lucky and you have one of those pet stores that does sell dubia roaches, cool. Then you can get the food that you need to feed the animal properly. But as far as housing the animal and giving the animal the proper substrate, giving the animal an enclosure that's long enough to actually have the thermal gradient needed for their thermal regulation, and having the lights that can give you that nice wide basking spot, but still provide those high temperatures that these animals need in order to digest their food and keep their metabolism up and just be an overall healthy lizard, are not going to come from your typical pet store. These items are things that you're going to have to think outside the box for in order to basically build that enclosure that you want. So that way you can keep your Ackie Monitor nice and healthy and give them the room they deserve. I hope you guys like this video on why Ackie Monitors are not your typical small pet lizard. Feel free to give this video a like and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, or you just want to have a cool conversation about reptiles, don't forget to follow the Instagram. It's scales_13. So guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.